I'm lost. Can you help me?
It's that way. Ah, it's really grown a lot out here, hasn't it?
Yes, I think it's lovely.
Because I'm going to have to do a bit of trimming. Ever had a garden outside the TARDIS? It's always been inside. Let's go and have a try at this. Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here and welcome to my review of Doctor Who Series 8 Episode 10 In the Forest of the Night. This is the third to last episode of the series, however as the last two episodes are a two-part story, this makes this episode the penultimate story of the series. So, In the Forest of the Night, this episode was slated when it came out in 2014. This one was considered one of the worst episodes ever made when it came out. Do I share that opinion? No, I don't hate it. Is it flawed? Yes. Is it dull? A little bit. I wasn't bored by it, but it was very fillery. It was very darish. It was basically a filler episode. Unfortunately. So the story of In the Forest of the Night sees this little girl called Maeve who has lost her sister for reasons that actually don't go explained. My Evil Sad Clone actually addressed this in a video when My Evil Clones took over the Whoniversals back in 2017. And the Sad Clone addressed it in one of the top 10 worst moments in Doctor Who as of summer's autumn 2017, and addressed that the sister of Maeve went missing, but they didn't reveal why or how. And I'll talk more about a little bit about that later on, because that also ties into something else My Evil Sad Clone said in that video, what the moment specifically is. But in the story, after the character Maeve loses her sister, she starts having kind of, I'm not sure, but she's anxiety or mental issues or something. I'm not quite sure, but which causes her to be able to hear the trees talking. And she is then aware that there is this solar flare coming, a bit like the one from Time Heist, that is coming to attack Earth, but the forest has grown and trees grow everywhere. And there's a giant forest protecting the Earth. Apparently, this is not the first time this has happened, but everyone keeps forgetting about it all the time. Well, apart from some characters in this episode afterwards, perhaps. So that's what we learn about later on. Maeve is a year 8 student, by the way, which would probably make her 12 or 13. Maybe, 12 or 13. But she actually looks more like she's 8, actually, which is odd. Actually, quite if these students are supposed to be year 8 students, so they should be 12 or 13, but they look a little bit younger, the ones we got here. I mean, fair enough, and we were still quite small in year 7 and 8, but we were getting bigger soon enough. But I don't know, these guys look like they're more year 8-year-olds of years 3 and 4. Maybe more 10 or 11-year-olds rather than 12 or 13. Maybe they look more like they're in year 6 rather than year 8. But oh well. So Maeve eventually runs off and finds the Doctor, following thoughts from Miss Oswald, Clara Oswald, her teacher, and we soon get involved in this mystery about why the forest is there. Meanwhile, Clara and Danny have taken out Maeve and a few other year 8 students on a kind of a trip. These are students who are apparently special and gifted and talented. Some of them have some mental issues or anxiety issues or something. In all honesty, we only get to know four out. There's 8 students. We only get to know 4 of them. The other 4 are just in the background. They're just there to fill up the numbers. But the other the other 3 supporting ones get a bit more to do alongside Maeve, who is the main one. And the least annoying. And the other ones are kind of the ones that we do get to know about are slightly annoying. I mean, not terribly annoying, but they're slightly annoying. And then the other ones are just there. I would say Clara and Danny are pretty great in this episode. They've got some great moments, and it is funny to see the kids watching on in the background, seeing them the kind of arguing or having some nice moments together, and they're like, "But they're supposed to be in love. Oh, that's nice," and so forth. So that's an interesting window. We're getting part of the episode from the kids' perspective. However, that doesn't bring me to an issue of the episode. Is that there will be some camera angles that kind of what's the word? I remembered it on when I was watching the episode. We got one point. There's a camera angle on the character Ruby in a scene where it's taking place at the Coal Hill School on a previous day, and it's looking down on her. Like it's a very weird camera angle, and then later in the TARDIS, there's some funny camera angles looking up at the Doctor from like it's their point of view, and the bit looking down at Ruby earlier on was like a bit from Danny's point of view or something. But I'm not quite sure. I can't remember the word. Not degrading, but another word. But it does kind of like it's slightly not insultive, but actually, yeah, that is right. Slightly insultive with the kids. It's like it's. I know I can't bloody remember the word. I'm sorry. It just doesn't quite work. I don't know why they went with those camera angles. I mean, was it supposed to be point of views? But it does degrading. That's it. It's degrading the kid characters. So it doesn't really work. But Clara and Danny are alright, and Jenna Coleman and Samuel Anderson do good jobs. Peter Capaldi's does a good job as well. And the actress playing Maeve is pretty good. But yeah, this is a very fillery episode. There isn't really an awful lot to it. There's some stuff. Also, Clara says that the kids are gifted and talented, but later she reveals to the Doctor that she lies to them to make them feel special. So what was the point? That line actually feels very throwaway. You could actually remove it and you wouldn't lose anything. Also, the Doctor got into trouble from Clara from lying about saying that Courtney Woods wasn't really special, and Clara had to go with him. So now Clara is basically lying to these kids, saying, "Oh, you are special," but she doesn't mean it. I think that line should just been taken out. Don't have that in the episode. Just don't. We also get some people trying to burn down the forest, which goes nowhere. Apart from no, because it shows the forest, the heat resistant. But after that, doesn't really isn't really that important. The episode is also called "In the Forest of the Night" because it's tying in with a poem that has a tiger in it. They have some scenes with wolves in them with a tiger, but those bits are really only there. The wolves for the fairy tale connection and the tiger for the poem connection. But besides that, they're not really not needed, not really. And the episode kind of has. I don't know whether this was intentional or not. It's kind of an underline of saying, "Don't take your medicine, kids, if you have an issue," as the Doctor is instructing them not to give Maeve her tablets, so that they can actually understand what's going on. I don't know whether that was intentional to be a statement against medicine or anything, or not, or if it just came in by accident and it was just supposed to be aiming for the character, but it kind of slips it in. It kind of slips in this "don't take your meds, kids" message. So yeah, as well as the protect the forest message, which I don't think is that specifically focused on actually the protecting the forest. The forest is more protecting the earth. And that's really about it. They realise that there's a solar flare coming. So they're going to die, but then the Doctor realises actually the tree's going to protect us. And it's already happened several times before. And then Ian and Clara go and watch it happening as Maeve's mum's arrived and Danny takes the other kids home. Oh yeah, throughout parts of the episodes, Maeve's mum has we keep cutting to her trying to find Maeve. Now I get she's worried about Maeve. I get they'd be very worried. I'm actually surprised she's the only one who actually dares to venture out into the forest. But yeah, it does take off the focus of the characters. Final few scenes. We get another forced Missy scene into the episode that that just ties in with the series arc just because. And the final scene, which I said I'd refer back to, which my evil sad clone said put into his top 10 worst moments list. The reason that what happens basically is that Maeve's sister Annabelle does return home, supposedly brought back by the trees. And it kind of does feel a little bit forced. It's supposed to be a happy ending, but it kind of feels a bit forced. However, agreeing with my evil sad clone for once, it would have worked if it was the Doctor who had brought back Annabelle. He would have liked Maeve. He would have thought, poor girl, better do something nice for her. Ooh, maybe I can use the tree. Ask the trees. Hey, tree. Well, actually, no, the Doctor wouldn't have the connection with the trees, but maybe he could have done something on the TARDIS and trying to find Annabelle. I can see why they used it to be the trees because Maeve has the connection. She wanted Annabelle to come home, so the trees found her. But why was she missing in the first bloody place? That's the whole thing that's throughout this episode around the character of Maeve is that her sister went missing, but how and why? She was missing for a year. What happened? And she's in her school uniform, so she must have disappeared whilst not at school or on the way home. So what happened? We don't really get an answer, but I still think the scene could have worked if it was the Doctor who found her as a kind of way of saying thank you to Maeve. Well done. I'm going to do something nice for you. I'm going to help you. I'm going to find your sister. And here you go. Back safe and sound. Still don't know what happened to her. But she's back now. Be happy. Maybe even have a bit of a cry and be happy. Which is something he mentions in Return of Doctor Mysterio and the crying bit from Doctor Widow in the Wardrobe. Overall, In the Forest of the Night, whilst it's trying to be kind of a fairy tale style episode, it's still a very fillery one. There's some decent moments in there, there's some decent acting and characters, but some of the kids are a bit annoying. Some of the other ones don't even do anything. And the story is kind of just there. It's not boring for me. I know some people find it boring, actually quite a few people, but it's not really that necessary. It doesn't have an awful lot going for it. It's just there. It's a filler episode. If it was in series 5, maybe it might have worked a bit better on the more fairy tale style story. But as it is, it's kind of a bit bland, a bit This episode may only just be here at the very end of series 8, so because the series is supposed to be more darker, and that was the intention, to be a more darker, serious series with a more darker Doctor. This episode does kind of feel a bit out of place with the darker or more mysterious tones of the story. I mean, other episodes have either been dark and mysterious or trying to be a bit more experimental. This one does kind of feel a bit experimental, but one that should have fitted with the 11th Doctor's era, or at least series 5. So it does feel a bit out of place in series 8. Maybe if actually no, if I was going to say maybe earlier on, but no, earlier on was even darker or more experimental. But it does feel like it's the child-friendly episode before the very dark finale, or at least penultimate episode, which does go into dark adult subject material. So is this the episode to get the kids on board, or appeal to the kids before we got the more adult penultimate episode? Possibly, but it's still quite a bland episode. Not that great. Not has some. I enjoyed some of it, but it is a bit of a bland episode. I will be giving In the Forest of the Night a 5 out of 10. Yeah, it's not one of the worst episodes I've ever seen. And like when people saw it back in 2014, they declared it worst episode or one of the worst episodes status. But it is I don't think it's that, but I do think it is a weaker one. It is a fillery one in this series. It's not that amazing. Um, it has some fun moments for me, and there are some good moments I liked. But it is a more fillery episode. And I don't know, it kind of feels out of place in Series 8. Series 5, maybe it would have worked. Heck, even Series 9. But it doesn't quite work for Series 8. And it's right before a very dark penultimate episode, and following a very creative double bill of Jamie Mathieson goodness. So, yeah, it does feel a bit out of place. But I can see what they were trying to do, and it was a try. It was a decent try, but it ultimately didn't completely succeed. It had some moments. I am glad, however, that the writer of the story, Frank Cottrell Boyce, would return to write an episode of Series 10, because that episode he wrote is really, really good. That's Smile, the second episode of Series 10. So I'm glad he returned to write that episode, because like with uh, Steve Thompson, he redeems himself on a following script after a meh first episode. A later script is a bit more interesting and a better story. And unlike Thompson, he doesn't have to go for a terrible episode before we get to that. So, Ed Time, I'm trusting you'll write an episode along the lines of Time Heist or Smile, as opposed to on the lines of Curse of the Black Spot or In the Forest of the Night for your third episode. Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you for watching this review. It was not a rant because I didn't hate the episode, unlike many other people, but it was a more negative review. I guess it was kind of it was a mixed review, I guess. The 5 out of 10 is the definition of mixed. So yeah, it was a mixed review. But I hope you liked it. Thank you for watching. Next time it's the finale, and that trailer, the end trailer, and that looks absolutely fantastic. It looks like Clara is going to be the villain of the finale, and Missy's going to have to team up with the Doctor to stop her, or something. This looks really, really great. It's also fun fact: the second time we have a trailer for at the end of an episode, the penultimate story of the series, and it's a trailer for the next episode, but it's the next 2 episodes together, so it's a trailer for the entire finale. We saw this previously at the end of Fear Her. The next time trailer for Army of Ghosts actually included bits from Doomsday as well, and then Doomsday got its own one at the end of Army of Ghosts. But the Army of Ghosts ones included bits from both that story and that episode and Doomsday. Here we got the next time trailer for Dark Water, but also includes bits from Death in Heaven, and Death in Heaven doesn't even get its own next time trailer at the end of Dark Water. So yes, and it was a great trailer. The finale begins. Clara is a villain, possibly, and she's never. Clara Oswald's never really existed. Cybermen out St. Paul's, which unfortunately in the next episode they tried to build us up, but unfortunately because of we knew of the Cybermen filming outside St. Paul's, and of course with this trailer, we know that the Cybermen are going to be in that story anyway, which does downgrade the build up to the reveal, but it's still a really great trailer, and I'm looking forward to seeing Clara Oswald as the villain of Dark Water and Death in Heaven, the 11th and 12th episodes of Doctor Who Series 8. We've been reduced to 12 episodes for the Capaldi series for some reason. I don't know why. So I'm really looking forward to this finale. Unfortunately, the finale is not really what we kind of expected. We were kind of expecting Clara to be the villain, maybe, following this trailer, but turns out, no, not really. No. So, yeah, but something was going to push her over the edge to become a villain, but ultimately, that's not the case. But what does happen? Tune in tomorrow to find out with my review of Doctor Who Series 8, Episodes 11 and 12, Dark Water and Death in Heaven. I'll see you guys then. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the Nicholas Payne YouTube channel. This is the penultimate story of Series 10, Series 9, shit. this is the penultimate story of series 8. However, as the last story is a two-parter, then we're not at the penultimate episode yet. And I actually and addressed that she's the sister of our supporting character. But she's back now. Hope you all are happy. Well, I will be giving In the Forest of the Night a which does disappoint the reveal, but never mind. Not the reveal, the build up to the reveal. But what does happen? Stay tuned. But what does happen? Tune in tomorrow